Brighton Beach Busking presents
Samuel, Jake, Josh, Ronty, Ian, Oscar, welcome to
the Busking Break.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Oh, nice.
The show where we interview your favourite Brighton Beach Buskers, finding out the stories behind the musicians that sound our streets.
I try everything to a very average level.
Music is, I mean, if it had been the Olympics, it would have been a gold medal.
Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you do not miss an episode. So come with us and be part of this journey. Hello and welcome to the Busking Break here at the Works Pier. Today we spoke with Ian from Iron Boot Scraper. It was a very inspirational conversation and I hope you enjoy. Ian,
Hello, Benedict.
welcome to the Busking Break.
Well,
How
thank
are
you.
you?
I'm good.
Good. So, you're a guitar player, mandolin player, banjo player, musical saw, even the theremin.
I try everything to a very average level, but I surround myself with musicians who make me look really good.
I mean, good way to do it.
Yeah.
Tell us about your musical journey. How did you begin? Why did you begin? And sort of the journey that's led you up till now.
Way back in the day, when I was about 18, I was studying classical guitar, but I was a very sort of autistic and sad and lonely boy, as it is. And so to earn money and also get out of the house, I started playing classical guitar on the street in Winchester.
Okay.
And it was great, yeah. I met other people actually. I remember meeting an old man who had this very strange thing, just things like puppets and things. They used to turn a handle and these go bells and jingles. And I asked him why he was doing when I was doing my dissertation on busking. And he said, well, otherwise I'd be sat at home just watching the telly. So he did busking just to get out of the house, really. Busking is a great way to see the world and meet people, you know.
Of course. So you were 18 when you first started busking.
Yeah.
When did you pick up the guitar?
A little bit before that.
A bit before that, okay.
Yeah, I started studying classical guitar.
And then how did classical guitar lead into kind of what you do today?
Well, I did classical guitar for a long time until I did my music degree.
Okay.
And I carried on busking through my music degree. I paid for it that way. I had more money than the other guys who,
Yeah.
You go out on a Saturday, you get £50 and, it's much easier. But, yeah, I did classical guitar, but I came out of music college realising that being a classical guitarist is nothing special, even though it's it's a very
hard craft.
refined, hard craft.
Yeah.
But you're just like polishing gems to just play while people eat in restaurants, and I thought the effort wasn't worth it. So I did classical mandolin.
Okay.
Because I thought I was something a bit different. And I did start doing busking on that, which led to me meeting someone while busking in Bristol, the Black Hole Bristol, terrible for busking.
Really?
Oh yeah, I always went to Bristol and it looks like a great precinct and yeah, just no response. But the best response I had, I met someone who said, oh, we play in a mandolin orchestra. I got invited back to the guy's house.
Okay.
And we started playing mandolin from old sheet music from 1930s mandolin orchestras.
Nice.
And he just said, oh, have this sheet music. And so, oh, I have the whole box, So basically every town in England, all around Europe, used to have its own mandolin orchestra.
Okay.
But most of them closed down because people used to do community things back in the day before that. So he just gave me a defunct orchestra's, library of music. I came back to Brighton and started a mandolin orchestra.
Wow.
On the side, actually, this country had more actually banjo orchestras rather than mandolin orchestras.
Okay.
It's more of a great continental thing. Actually, I remember visiting the last banjo orchestra in Tunbridge Wells when I was working out how to run a mandolin orchestra before they closed down. It's a bizarre thing. Little tiny banjos, giant banjos.
Wow. And the same for mandolin orchestra?
Yeah.
Small ones, big ones?
Yeah, so eventually the Fretful Federation, my mandolin orchestra I started, still going today. I eventually gave them to themselves. I said, done 15 years.
Mhm.
Have yourselves. And but they got mando basses, mando cellos, and
Wow.
mandolas. It's just like an orchestra, string orchestra, but plucked.
Yeah, of course. So then you've come to Brighton, you've started your mandolin orchestra. Then what came next? What happened then?
Well, nothing quite happened. It also happened side by side.
Okay.
But I was busking on the mandolin, and when I was looking for a new gimmick, remember when I used to do classical guitar, I used a little puppet, used to dance, that was a very old school. You see pictures of Victorian. I just saw one the other day on the Facebook, and a Victorian guy playing the bagpipes where he had some puppets bouncing around. Obviously it was an old photograph, so they weren't bouncing the photograph.
Yeah.
But I thought, that's been going on a long time. Well, I didn't invent that at all. But I decided to go on to stilts and dress as a giant Mr. Punch.
Wow. Had you had any experience on stilts, or did you just have a go?
I bought a set and started practicing in the park.
That's awesome.
And then got some costumes made, which led to creating a stilt walking band.
Wow.
Called Poles Apart, which started in the year 2000.
Wow.
Which I did quite a while until, basically another band it sort of came out of that.
Okay.
That took over the stilt walking band market, and I went back down to the ground, back down to busking band again.
Yeah.
Which was the best thing. I wouldn't want to be stilt walking still.
Yeah.
It's like I do get more money playing on the ground at people's weddings rather than carrying a load of stilts.
Being up on stilts.
Yeah.
So then, after the stilt working band, what happens then?
So the Iron Boot Curator was created.
Okay, Iron Boot Curator.
And started in Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
It was a direct result of the stilt walking band, because the stilt walking band, I looked for instruments that could be portable. I didn't, portable. So and obviously you don't want to have too much electrifying. You want to be portable and just wandering around. So you go back to the 1920s, school of music before electrification made things artificially loud. So the technology for loudness was back then when they had banjos and sousaphones, and you had the trad jazz band, a band that could play in a bar and not be amplified. So we had the trad jazz stuff on stilts. Initially we used to play trad jazz, and eventually I just thought all they were doing back then was playing the pop songs of their day. In fact, they're really good pop songs. Jazz went a long way after that.
Yeah, of course.
So we started playing sort of pop songs
in that style.
And doing them on the grounds, finally come back down to the ground with the armpit scrapers, with sousaphone, banjo, trombone or sax, and drums.
That's awesome. And anyone that checks it out will know that it's quite a party.
It's a giant party.
Yeah.
It's what we try and get going.
It's really cool. So you've got this really kind of unique style, and like I've said, you've said Edwardian rock or...
Well, that's the other thing. Out of that, we'd become quite successful. Busking is the best way to get gigs. I don't know if the rest of you buskers out there know that. You must know that. We don't just go busking for the money in the hat.
Yeah.
You've got to give out the cards. And
like ultimate exposure.
And when we started busking on the the arm boot scrapers on the ground, you almost didn't have to do your own videos, because people would just video you and they go up. You just have to look for your names, search, and you find videos of yourself. But it's the best way to get gigs. So what was my point there?
I mean, it's a good point. It is the best way to get gigs. I think a lot of people, like you say, might not realise what busking can bring. What are some of the things that you'd say busking has brought you?
Oh yeah, well, it brought me an income. It's bought me a house.
That's awesome.
So you get the gigs, and that gives you the proper income. And whenever the gigs start drying up, you go out busking a bit more, and the gigs come back in again. It's like pulling out the choke on a car, and sort of getting the engine revving up again. And that's what we're doing now. We're going out busking again to get the gigs in, sort of raise the profile of the band. But going back to Edwardian rock, that was another thing. most musicians didn't just become musicians to do covers. Though I love it. I love playing at weddings. It's a real buzz, creating a giant party, making people happy.
Yeah.
But so we all have to try and aspire to being delusional rock stars as well.
Of course.
So I had to sort of write a few songs just to convince all these musicians who, as far as I can see, were lost their way, because everyone started out as musicians because they wanted to be a rock star, and then they got dragged into earning a living. Then you have to remind them you did this to become a rock star.
Of course.
Okay. So I wrote a few songs, and I sort of cracked whip over the band, and we created our own genre called what we call Edwardian rock.
Cool.
Because Edwardian.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's the height of British optimism as well. I like that.
Nice.
Go back to the Empire.
That's a really cool way to put it. Where does this kind of influence, where do the influences for this come from?
I don't know, what musical influences. I think I always like rock music and good songwriting. I could list a whole load of people like Tom Waits and things like that. But it's sort of an amalgamation of lots of things. It's like we, because the aesthetic is a visual aesthetic, like a sort of Edwardian sort of like that sort of thing. And in our albums that we've made, we've done lots of different genres of music. So, which can be a problem when you're trying to get on the sort of platform of a metal festival. So we'll do metal, but we also do dance and rock and punk and because. Actually, with the next album, I quite fancy doing some techno with sousaphone and banjo.
Nice.
But because I really like the music of Robin now. But yeah, it's just an accumulation. Just trying decent songwriting. There's only good songwriting and bad songwriting. Isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't really matter what genre. It's good or bad kind of thing.
Yeah, as long as you've got good production.
That's so cool. So, of all the years you've been busking, I'm assuming you've been to some different places. Where else have you busked other than Brighton?
I remember going interrail when I was younger and sort of interrailing with my little busking out in my classical guitar.
That's awesome.
And I went all the way to Vienna and France. I remember trying to hitch lifts around France. Terrible.
Yeah.
Trying to hitch in South France. No, I wouldn't do that. Germany better. But I don't know what it is like now, but it might change. That's a good 20, 30 years ago. Busking, I remember actually had one strange experience.
Yeah.
Because I was travelling around China, I took my classical guitar with me. And I thought I'd just try, this is pre-Tiananmen Square when China wasn't the sort of technological sort of like nightmare dystopian place it is now. I decided to try busking just to see what the reaction was in the strange side. As soon as I got my classical guitar up and started playing, I just got hundreds and hundreds of people. That's quite a strange experience in China.
Wow.
And they were offering me money. I felt really embarrassed because they were really poor and I just couldn't take their money off them.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, busking is a way to connect with people, isn't it?
Yeah, it for sure is. It's very community driven. I think, which is like everything from this channel to all the people we meet.
It's like a recent gig, we did a New Year's Eve gig, Christmas Eve gig for a wedding. We actually hired for a wedding, but it was like a busking gig. They wanted us to parade the wedding party to the restaurant and then back again. And it was great because we were around, because it was like a proper paid gig, but we're in the street in our element. And we just loved it because everyone came out at the shops and it's like we've got a big crowds of people coming to watch the parade. There's something really immediate about the streets. I love it. I absolutely love playing in the streets. Probably more so, I was thinking when we did that wedding gig in the street, it would be great if we got gigs like that all the time, but obviously people want to play in venues.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But busking is so immediate, and you make such a connection, and it's like there's something sort of there's like a wild energy on the street. So when we go out busking, it will sort of start out, and then the fire will start building. People will get drunker as the evening goes on, and then it suddenly explodes. and you've got a giant street party, which is
Yeah.
it's great to be part of, which
Uh-huh.
which was created by yourselves from your own kindling, but nothing arranged. Well, I had to arrange it.
Yeah.
Crack the whip of our musicians and get them out there.
I like what you're saying about it being like going into the wild. I think that's a really good analogy for busking. Like a venue's more kind of like...
It's contained.
Yeah.
Necessarily so, because people, don't want any old person
Yeah,
wandering
yeah.
into their wedding. But you're working with the energy on the street, and so that's why we've always used radio mics when we're on the street busking, not tied to amplifiers, because I want to often, most of the time I spend it within the crowd itself, playing and dancing with them whilst playing at the same time.
That's awesome. What's your favourite song to busk?
I have different ones right now. My current favourite is Blink 182's all the small things. It's great. Mainly because everyone knows the chorus, which is na 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 na.
Yeah.
But everyone knows the chorus. But we try and choose songs that are anthemic. Because basically what you're providing often at weddings or busking is you're like an old style community singing thing, because people want to sing along. It's not just all about you. You want to create a thing where you've got a big crowd. You want the crowd singing along with you and having a great time. So choosing songs that people are almost genetically imbued in their DNA. But we try out lots of songs, and we decided after trying out lots of songs, we are essentially a rock band. Because rock songs like, Blur's Song 2. Song 2 is great. The song that went most viral with us, that we were at a wedding fair, and whether the wedding fair's like boring, no one was there. So I put the camera on the mantelpiece at the stately home, and we did Gay Bar.
Oh yeah.
And it's everyone was ignoring us, but the video just went completely viral on the YouTube and on the Facebook, and eventually it got through to Electric Six himself.
Really?
And I can't remember what's the lead singer's name. Valentine, I think. He wanted us to make a sort of record a version of it. I didn't, because I wanted to sort of say, if we do a version of it, because there's nothing in for us, we wouldn't get any royalties from promoting this song for him. I said if we can go on tour, and that was never arranged. So Dick Valentine, if you want us to go on tour us, we will record it for you and we'll bring the song out again, okay?
Yeah, but you have to go on tour.
You have to go on tour. Everyone want the experience.
That's the deal. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to ask you a question that you can take as deep or as literal as you want, but we've asked all the other buskers. What is music to you?
It's a toolkit, because way back in the day, back in the time of Haydn, the composer, musicians were seen as liveried servants, where they were producing something, so they were no better or worse than the carpenter on the estate. They did a job and they produced something, which I think that's the way, and then it almost should be, because we shouldn't see ourselves above other trades. I'm no better than a plumber. He does something just as well, if not better, than me. And then Beethoven and all the people, and then musicians became princes of arts, and then they started getting ego driven. Musicians, it's basically, it's such a cliche, but it's what's given me freedom, because I've never had a proper job since I was about 20. I had a proper job in a typing book for about a year, and I used to look out at the park and see all the drunks lying on the grass and thinking, I just want to be a drunk lying on the grass. And so I basically jacked in that job and became a busker. So it's the freedom not to do the 9 to 5, because life's so precious. And doing a 40-hour week doing something you don't want to do, but not anyone who has it. I'm sure people enjoy their jobs, but for me, I was either in life you choose to have lots of money or do the thing you really love. If you have lots of money, you can go on holidays, but you generally have to get 2 weeks off a year to do the things that you want to do. But I have all my time, all the time, basically.
So cool.
Which is is what I want, because I just love my freedom. Like going for a walk with my dog every day. It's great.
Music is freedom. It's a great sentiment.
It is freedom. Yeah. It's the freedom. So it's the toolkit to achieve that freedom. But it's not easy. It is really difficult. I've seen, you know, it's quite precarious being a busker. I've known the buskers I came back to, who I interviewed for my dissertation from music college.
Yeah.
Some of them have hit rock bottom, and some have done better. But it is when you're choosing to take freedom and not financial thing, you're taking a risk.
Yeah, of course.
And you won't have a pension. I've got a pension. I'll probably have to keep busking until the day I die. But that's okay until my legs give out.
Yeah, as long as you can keep going.
Yeah.
In your experience of busking here in Brighton, particularly, do you think that the council could help in any way? Do you think that they do a good job?
Actually, Brighton is one of the best places in the country for busking.
Cool.
And I've travelled up and down the country. I used to travel in my van, back in my van, and just stop from place to place. You know, sort of a young man's thing. Do you want to life? That's what I mean. It's freedom. You're basically just trying to achieve the life of adventure and get around. But Brighton is really good. As opposed to like London. It's like, I think because London's so crowded, psychologically people are blinkered. They haven't got the empathy. And Brighton sort of embraces a sort of bohemian sort of thing. They just like, another fellow bohemian doing this crazy thing. She's just like me. Yeah. And not many places have that sort of thing. So Chichester's good. But yeah, Brighton is probably the best place. And also, when you go busking at night, which we generally do, you know, one of Brighton's the main industry is hen parties and stuff. I mean, love a good hen party joining our crowd, because they're all just up for it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What you've gone through.
So what was Brighton? What Brighton could do? Like any good government, me being the conservative I am, the best government is the one that stays out of your life, basically. The least government possible. So the best thing for busking is not regulations, just keep off our backs. If someone becomes a real pain in the ass, there's plenty of laws in the books, you know, to move them on. We get moved on all the time. You have to sort of swing with it, don't you? But yeah, Brighton Council, the best thing you can do is to stay out of our way.
That's well said. What would your advice be for someone that wants to start out as a musician or even as a busker?
Try and do something unique, because that's like, we haven't gone on it, but when I did musical saw busking for a while, I deliberately did that because you want to narrow the pool of who you're competing with. So if you're just another guy in a guitar bass drum band, you're going to be competing with the hundreds of thousands of millions or whatever of guitar bass drum bands out there. That's why my rock band has sousaphone, banjo, theremin. So just do something unique. And it can be the aesthetic, just how you look. So yeah, the aesthetic, you know, when we do our originals, the Iron Boot Scrapers, we actually have an electronic keyboard, but we have sort of natural sounds because you don't want to carry a piano around you. But I deliberately have it in an old harmonium case because I don't want people seeing me playing a modern instrument, so I conceal it just for the aesthetic appeal in an old-fashioned harmonium, you know, the pump action is you pedal and go.
That's awesome. So
yeah, do something unique and be ready for troubled times. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Would you say it's easy?
No. I think that like you said, just you've got to think about how you're going to stand out, but also I think there's a lot to be said for all the things that are going on behind the scenes. Something as simple as thinking about how you're going to present your keyboard. You know, to somebody walking past, they wouldn't even really recognise that you've had to
put some time and effort into making that
Yeah.
aesthetic.
And people see that you're putting on a performance. It's like you said when I dressed up for this, because how you appear is important as well. That's why initially when the Armed Scratch started, I used to have these old stilt walking costumes called a dead Victorian, so these like very grim looking sort of Victorian frock coats. And it's all right. Then I thought, no, we want to get wedding gigs, so we want to be the fun, happy, jolly band. So that's why we went for the boaters and the blazers and the Henley regatta sort of look, because we wanted to look like it's a crunch of ideas, juxtaposition. We will look like the nerdy, slightly sort of traditional, but sort of boring looking, sort of but happy and jolly, and then rock out playing punk and metal and whatever. So, anyway, back to do something unique.
Cool. Good.
And present yourself in a way people will remember you.
Really well said. For for you as a musician, or for maybe Iron Boot Scraper, what's coming up? What are you planning?
Well, I think this will go out after our next gig. So I would the next gig after that is. Oh, what have we got? We got the Brunswick sometime.
Cool.
If you go to the Iron Boot Scrapers Facebook site, you'll see all our events coming up. We've got one at the Brunswick coming up, and we got one at the Factory Live. I remember that one because that's Friday the 13th of May.
Okay.
It's quite far ahead.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
like slasher date, but go to the Iron Boot Scrapers page, the Iron Boot Scrapers on Facebook, and also ironbootscrapers.com. And you'll see all the events we've got coming up. We're doing quite a few festivals this year.
Cool.
But this will be as doing our original music incarnation. But if you want to see our original music, best go to the ironbootscrapers.com. It's an easy way to find everything. And all the videos are there, and you can see what we do.
Cool.
And then join the Facebook site. Then you can, hear what we're doing.
Awesome.
Anyway, yeah.
What about music releases? Anything in the pipeline?
We've released 2 albums already so far, which
Cool.
Costermonger and Quiet Light. Actually, we're going to push those for now. We've got new musicians in the band. I think be keen to produce more music, but that will happen when it happens.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Ian, thank you so much for being on the Busking Break.
Thank you for having me.
And great to talk to you, and we'll see you soon.
All right, see you soon. All right.
Thank you for watching the Busking Break here on the Brighton Beach Busking YouTube channel. If you haven't already, then please click subscribe, like this video, and hit the notifications bell so you know when videos have been posted. Go and check out our busking guests. All their links are in the description. I have been your host, August Radio Project. If you're a musician, creative, and you like challenges, or you need some tips and tricks, then go and check out my YouTube channel, also linked in the description. Thank you to Works for welcoming us to the Works Pier and believing in the project. If you're a creative looking for workspace in Brighton, contact Works through the details in the description. They offer co-working, craft space, sound studios, offices, meeting rooms, and more. Also, thank you to Mug Time for the wonderful mugs. You can find the link to their Amazon shop in the description below. And thank you to you for watching the Busking Break. And I'm sure I will see you in the next one. Thank you.